Right, another high-tech title, and for my third video update for my Pickersgill 440. Right, there is the plans that I was working from. There was another set in my folder which were slightly under scale, but I've used them for the various parts of the loco. The plans that were under scale show the other side, which showed a lot of the plumbing, that, you know, on the boiler, etc. And this is what I've ended up with. Obviously it's still in primer, but it is substantially complete, apart from the fact that it does not have power. The motor is in, but I've left the gear on the driving axle, front axle, out at the moment until I get a knurled axle for the driving axle, because the one in here is a drying size 9/64 axle. The one I've got in at the moment is a plain one, and obviously a plain gear, it is a tight fit for the gear that goes on the axle, but it does slip, so obviously that's no good for running. It's okay for test running, but in my box of bits I did not have any spare axles, so they're in the post. But as you can see at the moment, the loco is, apart from paint obviously and lining, but physically it is complete as of about 15 minutes ago. The last major thing I had to make was the snifting valve there, which I've ordered some snifting valves from Cali coaches, which aren't the right ones, but I could have used them to make them up even, better grammar. But I had a look through my box of bits and pieces for various kits, and I found an old radar antenna for a Revell USS Buckley destroyer kit, which I got etched pieces for, and the radar dish, which was a C shape, is the right size, so that is what it should be. It's not quite right, you know, but it's cost me nothing, and it'll do. Once it's painted black, you'll never know. Again, for the chassis, for the chassis, there is no hiding that part of the chassis. It's part of the old trying chassis which I fitted into the model. As you can see, if I lift the logo up slightly, it does show, but there's no hiding it. But once it's painted black, I don't think it'll notice too much. And obviously, again, because of the trying chassis, there is nothing in there. If I unplug the tender, see, unlike the last video, I've not got tenders on rulers or in folders. If you look inside there, it is just the trying chassis with the more modern motor attached. I've made up a plastic bracket for it to fit. As mentioned previously, it was a cheapish motor. I think I got 3 or 4 of them from China, eBay, which had a worm attached to the chassis, to the shaft even, which is a direct fit onto a 30-to-1 trying Hornby gear on the axle, which obviously isn't fitted at the moment. Show the other side. And this side. Done it in one. On that side, the loco again is complete, apart from paint. The lubricator which attaches there is currently taped up underneath, because for test running. I know it works. I know the loco rolls just fine with it fitted under push power. So if it works fine under push power, there is absolutely no reason why it shouldn't work with electric power. Just to prove it. But now I'm trying to do it on the camera, it won't work. Oh, first time again. And if I push the loco gently, there's absolutely no resistance, no binding. You know, so yeah, I am getting near to the end of my project for Pickersgill 440. I've been planning it for a long time, thinking about it for a long time, but it's only the last couple of weeks that I've actually got my finger at my you-know-what and got on with it. but it's looking quite good. And as opposed to a kit, which, as I've previously stated in the last video, which was available at one point from Newcast, again, as far as I know, it's not available again yet, but I do know that Branch Lines and somebody else took over the Newcast range of kits, and it may appear again, but a kit is not very cheap. It's not very good for the wallet, whereas this has cost me altogether about £40, which is, you know, not too bad for a Loco, which started life as, well, the Loco itself, body, started life as a sheet of plasticard and a clear plastic tube, which was, or is, that kind of thing. All I did was cut the boiler to length, the plastic tube to length from the plans, and then I just laminated some, I can't mind the thickness, but reasonably thin plasticard onto the plastic tube to form the boiler cladding. And obviously the firebox, which continues down in between the wheel splashers there. Yeah, it's turned out, try to stop yawning, it's been a long day. Yeah, it's turned out pretty good. I'm showing you this because it takes a bit of thinking about and working out, but you know, it shows what you can do if you scratch your head a little bit and swear a lot when you're making it. But you know, it's it looks reasonable for what it is. Again, it's not cost much and it takes a lot. All you need again is a sheet of plasticard, set of plans, and luck. And what I use, since we're on the video? I'm on the video. What I use to make them is this. It is an LED light board, and all I do is put a plan on that, light it, and put the thin plasticard over the plans and trace it out, and then on the plasticard, and then cut it out and stick it together. You know, and it is quite a useful tool to have. I've used it so far just for Locos. Sorry, we're going back to it again. But I used it for the boiler, the cab, the running plate, wheel arches, splashers, tender frames, Loco and tender steps, everything basically. The only things that are not plasticard obviously are the tender itself. Again, that's an old gem tender which has had the coal rails removed. The frames have been modified. The front end there has been modified. Originally it just came out straight and then bent down. It's been made to curve down as it does the real one there. So that's white metal tender. But as is previously stated, and I'm sure I'm repeating myself, but I'm going to say it anyway, the Loco chassis is the Triang chassis, but the whole body is plasticard or plastic. To finish off the front end, I've put Bachmann sprung buffers. I decided not to use the Allen Gibson ones because they are a bit fiddly, but the plain Bachmann sprung buffers look near enough. Oh, sorry, my hand's shaking here. And I've decided what Loco this is going to be. It's going to be 54486, which was on the railway roundabout trip that went from Perth to, I think it's Inverness in 1960. I could be wrong about the date. It was 54485 and 86 that were on that special when they hauled a postal special, I think it was, from Perth to Inverness. And yeah, so I might make another one at some point, but I'm going to stop blathering because I'm sure I'm just going on and on here, and I could take ages when this video should be 5 minutes, not nearly 10. So I hope you are liking this conversion job that I've been doing. The next job obviously will be to give it a bit of a run once the new axle arrives, and then black paint, line it out in British Airways mixed traffic. I do have a small bit of beading to add to the cab there, and two posts that go from down the base up to there, one on either side, as where's my pen went, as like that. But other than that, you know, it's finished, and it's taken me 2 weeks, on and off. So you can do it quite quick if you set your mind to it. So the next, hopefully it won't be too long till it's finished. Right, thanks for watching.